Well, hello. This is Dr. Bev Knox, your psychology exam study buddy. We are here on episode 19. Can you believe we've done 19 of these study buddy episodes already? My goodness, time just flies when you are having fun. And of course, I know you've been acing each exam that you have taken after studying along with me. Is that correct? Yes, it is. Anyway, as you know, I am here to assist you in acing your psych exam. And what you are to do is listen to these study buddy episodes repeatedly. That is how you transfer something from your short-term memory into your long-term memory, by repetition and rehearsal of that information. So let us get started with this episode. Again, this is all about cognition and thinking. What I am going to do is, after we've completed the section on thinking, I'm going to add some bonus exam questions on language development at the end of this episode. Now, please note I have included some additional links to videos in the description box below. So you could go ahead and check that information out. I've got some, learning video lectures down there that coincides with this episode. All right? Cool. Let's get started. A mental grouping of similar objects, events, ideas, or people is called what? A concept. A concept is a mental grouping of similar objects, events, ideas, or people. When we use the word automobile to refer to a category of transport vehicles, we are using this word as a concept. When we use the word automobile to refer to a category, now don't forget I told you got to know the difference between a concept and a prototype. And one thing I mentioned in the last episode is to view concept as a category. Concept is category, and prototype is the best example of that category, okay? So when we use the word automobile to refer to a category of transport vehicles, we are using this word as a concept. Next, a prototype is a best example of a particular category. A prototype is a best example of a particular category. In the process of classifying objects, people are especially likely to make use of prototypes. In the process of classifying objects, people are especially likely to make use of prototypes. Next, prototype is to category as rose is to flower. Prototype is to category as rose is to flower. All right, let's see. With which of the following statements will people typically agree most quickly? A robin is a bird. That's right. I mean, a penguin is a bird too, but if you had the choice on your quiz between a robin is a bird and a penguin is a bird, which of the following statements will people typically agree most quickly? A robin is a bird. That is the correct answer. After identifying an ethnically blended face as Asian rather than as Caucasian, Belgium students recall the face as more closely resembling their prototype of an Asian face. After identifying an ethnically blended face as Asian rather than as Caucasian, Belgian students recalled the face as more closely resembling their prototype of an Asian face. Next, Ava had difficulty recognizing that a seahorse was a fish because it did not closely resemble her fish. This is what? Her fish was what? Prototype. Ava had difficulty recognizing that a seahorse was a fish because it did not closely resemble her fish prototype. Very good. People are likely to take less time to recognize a woman as a nurse than a man as a nurse, because people more closely resembles their nurse prototype. People are likely to take less time to recognize a woman as a nurse than a man as a nurse, because a woman more closely resembles their nurse prototype. An algorithm is a step-by-step procedure for solving problems. Very good. Very good. Okay. Simple thinking strategies that allow us to solve problems and make judgments efficiently are called heuristics. Simple thinking strategies that allow us to solve problems and make judgments efficiently are called heuristics. The use of heuristics rather than algorithms is most likely to save time in arriving at solutions to problems. Next, research participants were asked to identify a word that could be associated meaningfully with each of 3 other words. Solutions that occurred with sudden insight were accompanied by a burst of activity in the brain's right temporal lobe. Next, the confirmation bias refers to the tendency to search for information that supports our preconceptions. The confirmation bias refers to the tendency to search for information that supports our preconceptions. Scientists are trained to carefully observe and record any research outcomes that are inconsistent with their hypotheses. This practice most directly serves to reduce confirmation bias. That's right, you guys are rocking and rolling. Next, the inability to see a problem from a new perspective is called a fixation. A fixation is the inability to see a problem from a new perspective. A mental set is most likely to inhibit creativity. A mental set is most likely to inhibit creativity. During prior school years, Charlie found it easy to get away with cheating on tests. Now it's not so easy, so Charlie spends as many hours devising new ways to cheat as it would take him to study and perform well in an honest fashion. Charlie's short-sightedness best illustrates the consequences of a mental set. In contrast to our explicit conscious reasoning, our seemingly effortless and automatic feelings or thoughts are called intuitions. In contrast to our explicit conscious reasoning, our seemingly effortless and automatic feelings or thoughts are called intuitions. A reliance on quick, intuitive judgments is best illustrated by our use of heuristics. A reliance on quick, intuitive judgments is best illustrated by our use of heuristics. Next, our tendency to judge the likelihood of an event on the basis of how readily we can remember instances of its occurrence is called the availability heuristic. Just passing by a person who sneezes and coughs heightens our perceptions of various health risks. This best illustrates the impact of the available heuristic. Dan overestimates the proportion of family chores for which he takes sole responsibility because it's easier for him to recall what he has done than to recall what other family members have done. This best illustrates the impact of the availability heuristic. Which of the following best accounts for people's greater fear of commercial air flights than of driving an automobile? Perceived control. We fear too little those events that will claim lives undramatically. We fear too little those events that will claim lives undramatically. The overconfidence phenomena refers to the tendency to underestimate the extent to which our beliefs and judgments are inaccurate. The overconfidence phenomena refers to the tendency to underestimate the extent to which our beliefs and judgments are inaccurate. Stockbrokers often believe that their own expertise will enable them to select stocks that will outperform the market average. This belief best illustrates overconfidence. Next, an unwillingness to give up our beliefs, even when the evidence proves us wrong, is called belief perseverance. The unwillingness to give up our beliefs, even when the evidence proves us wrong, is called belief perseverance. The value of making a good first impression when you begin work for a new employer is best underscored by the research on belief perseverance. In write-in survey questions, political pollsters who want to gather evidence of people's support for a particular viewpoint are especially likely to understand the impact of framing. Wording a question or presenting an issue in such a way that it evokes a desired judgment is called framing. The risks of smoking are more alarming when presented in terms of the number of smokers with lung cancer than the percentage of smokers with lung cancer. This illustrates the importance of framing. A $100 coat marked down from $150 can seem like a better deal than the same coat priced regularly at $100. This best illustrates the importance of, wouldn't you know it, framing. That's right. Consumers respond more positively to ground beef advertised as 75% lean than to ground beef described as 25% fat. This best illustrates that consumer reactions are influenced by, yes, by framing. That's right. A period of distraction that enables people to process complex information unconsciously can improve decision making. This best illustrates the value of intuition. Although intuition can at times hinder rational thinking, it is often adaptive because it facilitates quick decisions. So, intuition can at times hinder rational thinking. It is often adaptive because it facilitates quick decisions. Master chess players can make correct game moves at such speed that their acquired expertise feels like intuition. By learning to classify cats and dogs, monkeys demonstrate a capacity to form concepts. By learning to classify cats and dogs, monkeys demonstrate a capacity to form concepts. Next, in her research, Professor Cato seeks to identify circumstances in which confirmation bias is typically likely to impede effective problem solving. Which specialty area does her research best represent? Cognitive psychology. Prototypes are especially important in the process of classifying objects. Prototypes are especially important in the process of classifying objects. In attempting to find and purchase high-quality cosmetics, Megan reminds herself that the most expensive brands are the best. Megan's self-remember illustrates the use of a heuristic. Okay, we are doing good. We are doing good. Prompt feedback regarding your performance on psychology practice tests is most likely to inhibit overconfidence. Prompt feedback regarding your performance on psychology practice tests is most likely to inhibit overconfidence. Next, pigeons can reliably discriminate pictures of cars from pictures of chairs. This best illustrates concepts. We are more likely to recognize that a blue jay is a bird than that a penguin is a bird because a blue jay more closely resembles our prototype of a bird. That's right. Next, unlike the use of algorithms or heuristics, insight does not involve strategy-based solutions. College students are more likely to use a condom when told that it has a 95% success rate than when told it has a 5% failure rate. This best illustrates the impact of framing. Okay, let's move on. We're doing really good. The definition of cognition is the mental activities associated with thinking, knowing, remembering, and communicating information. A mental grouping of similar things, events, or people is called a concept. When forming a concept, people often developed a best example or prototype of a category. Very, very good. You guys remembered that one. When forming a concept, people often develop a best example or prototype of a category. Next, confirmation bias refers to the tendency to look for information that is consistent with one's beliefs. Confirmation bias refers to the tendency to look for information that is consistent with one's beliefs. Mental set is an example of a fixation. Mental set is an example of a fixation. Thoughts and feelings that are automatic, effortless, immediate, and unreasoned are examples of intuition. Thoughts and feelings that are automatic, effortless, immediate, and unreasoned are examples of intuition. You guys are doing such a great job. Okay, a common problem in everyday reasoning is our tendency to accept as logical those conclusions that agree with our own opinions. Okay. Let's see. Okay. The basic units of cognition are concepts. The basic units of cognition are concepts. Okay, so I am going to add some bonus questions, quiz and exam questions on language and thought. Okay? You ready? Excellent. Language refers to the spoken, written, or signed words and the ways they are combined to communicate meaning. Language refers to the spoken, written, or signed words, to the ways they are combined to communicate meaning. The smallest distinctive sound unit of language is a phoneme. English words are constructed from about 40 different phonemes. The system of rules in a language that enables us to understand and communicate with others is called grammar. Semantics refer to the rules by which we derive meaning from sounds. So if you had to know just one word definition for semantics, it would be meaning. Okay? So the meaning of something. So semantics refer to the rules by which we derive meaning from sounds. To combine words into grammatically sensible sentences, we need to apply proper rules of syntax. To combine words into grammatically sensible sentences, we need to apply proper rules of syntax. Mentally segmenting others' spoken sounds into individual words best illustrates a 7-month-old's capacity for receptive language. The ability to produce words is to productive language, as the ability to comprehend speech is to receptive language. The earliest stage of speech development is called the babbling stage. The earliest stage of speech development is called the babbling stage. Infants are first able to discriminate speech sounds during the babbling stage. At some point during the babbling stage, infants begin to lose their ability to discriminate sounds they never heard. Telegraphic speech is most closely associated with the 2-word stage of language development. No matter what language we first use, our first words are mostly nouns. Noam Chomsky suggested that all human languages share a universal grammar. Noam Chomsky suggested that all human languages share a universal grammar. Noam Chomsky attributed children's ability to pick up language so readily to a built-in readiness to learn grammar rules. Next, blind people are more accurate than sighted people at locating a sound source with one ear plugged. And blind musicians are more likely than sighted ones to develop perfect pitch. Okay. Human language appears to have evolved from gestured communication. Human language appears to have evolved from gestured communication. Psychologists are most likely to doubt that chimpanzees have the capacity to use complex grammar. Native German speakers who pronounce the English word this, T-H-I-S, as dis, D-I-S, are demonstrating their difficulty with an English phoneme. The two-word stage of language development typically begins at the age of 24 months. Brain scans reveal that different neural networks are activated when we process verbs rather than nouns. The English language has approximately 40 phonemes. Syntax refers to the rules for grouping words into sentences. Our ability to learn a new language diminishes with age. Telegraphic speech is typically of the two-word stage. And children first demonstrate an understanding of syntax during the, wouldn't you know it, two-word stage. Okay, everybody. Well, this ends this episode of your psychology exam study buddy questions and answers for thinking, cognition, and language development. This is episode 19. This is Dr. Bev Knox. Thank you for hanging out with me. And as always, repeat this episode over and over. This will assist you to do what? Ace your psychology exam. All right, guys, I will see you in the next episode.